What up, team? MurderInc, talking about charge for Barbarians, how to min-max this skill. There are a few really interesting things that a lot of players don't know about. Some of it's more PC heavy than controller, but it's important for you to know nonetheless, so let's dive right into it. What up, guys? It's your boy MurderInc here, talking again about Barbarians, the alpha class of Season 3, of course, because, I mean, you're playing it, right? It's obviously the best. We're talking about Charge because Charge was recently reworked to be arguably the strongest skill in the entire game. Yes, I said it. It is what it is. Charge Barbarians was buffed by like 900%, and it's doing stupid damage. However, there are some interesting interactions with Charge that, if you've never used it before, which I don't think many players have, outside to test the disappointing damage prior to this season, you're going to want to know this because it's going to make your life a lot easier. We'll just call it easier. A lot easier in all the content because you're going to have to dodge things, and sometimes Charge isn't as forgiving when you're trying to dodge certain things. So I'm going to show you a few tricks where it may be fixed. I'm not really sure if it's an intended interaction here, but if it isn't fixed, you're going to be very, very happy you saw this video. All right, so here we are. As we can see in my bars, I have Charge. Now there's a few ways to use Charge, right? You can run straight up to a mob like this and hit Charge, and it'll end pretty quickly. However, what a lot of players don't know, this is why I like talking about it, is you can actually charge very far away if you move your cursor to the corner of the screen. This is good for a lot of reasons. Oh, looks like there's a big pack up here. Oh yeah, we want this for sure. So long distance charge, I mean, look how far I just dragged them, right? So from what I've heard, when I started bringing this up, asking if other players had done this before, this isn't as easy to do on console because you don't have a free cursor running around. So I cannot speak to that. It would be worth trying if your positioning has anything to do with how you can make this happen, because this is OP. I mean, it's one thing seeing in the open world, right? The open world's fairly straightforward, right? It's left to right. You can see everything on your screen. What's interesting is if you're in a dungeon that's closed off and there are walls to the side of you, if I use Charge on, let's say, this skeleton, and there's an entire hallway next to me, Charge will actually keep going all the way down here until it hits a wall. Yes, I've literally gone multiple screens with Charge. I mean, that was one screen right there. So I've gone multiple screens inside of a dungeon, which is kind of crazy. And like I said, people may know about this already, but from what I've seen when I was asking, a lot of players don't. So you want to use that. The next thing is, how can you control Charge more? Kind of like the earlier point, if you run next to a mob and click it, it's pretty quick, right? Like that was Charge, believe it or not. Some people might have thought that was Upheaval, my other skill, but I still have 7 stacks. So that was Charge. That was just a quick ending to Charge. Now I could have gone to that second mob in the back there, and that's kind of the point I'm trying to make. So I'm not sure if this is just impossible for console players. If it is, they need to fix this pretty... I mean, they shouldn't nerf it for PC. They should make it so console players can do this. Don't really know how they would pull that off, to be honest. But I mean, I guess that remains to be seen, right? So yeah, that's the biggest tip I can give for Charge. If you're not currently using it that way, you're in for a treat. Like, you're in for a really good treat, because the fun factor alone by just learning that is incredible. I mean, just going, look how far I just went, right? Okay, so I'm going to stop doing that because I can literally sit here in an hour video just showing you how to charge across the screen, and it's a ton of fun. Like, even there, I missed the target, but from what I've seen, a lot of people's charges are very short range, which is why I think they're kind of not really appreciating how strong this skill is besides its damage. The damage is pretty self-explanatory, but besides the damage, matters a lot here. Now, the second thing with Charge is going to be a bit harder to show. I'll see if I can try to replicate it somehow, but it has to do with bossing. Everyone knows how bossing can be annoying. We'll just call it annoying, right? Okay, I'm kind of getting owned here. Let me stop standing and everything so I don't die in this video. Okay, we got it. A quick tap here. And I do know a lot of people like the Vampire Zone better. Sure, I'm playing Charge, so it doesn't really matter what this game has. I mean, if you're a Barbarian, you obviously, well, you should be watching this if you're a Barbarian. You know how good our current class is. But the next thing, I guess I can treat this guy like a boss. It's going to be kind of hard. So for bosses, there's usually a lot of lethal mechanics that go, I mean, lethal. Nothing really one-shots in this game, but there are a lot of lethal mechanics technically in this game if you're not careful enough. And charge can be an issue, right? If you're charging a boss, since you can't move bosses, you often go through bosses. So what I found to be like the best way to do is if we take, okay, I mean, I have to find a mob now. And I should have picked up that stone, but I didn't because I'm bad. Let's just go see where they want me to go here. Okay, so I'm right here. This boss, I would just use charge right next to it, right? So it ends quickly. I mean, I know I went and just one-shot this guy because he had no health left, but you kind of see the point, right? If you're fighting a boss, do not, and I'm telling you this because it's really finicky, especially on the PC. Don't go far away from the boss and try to do this because the game, most times from my testing, wants your character to just keep going, like right past the boss, which is not ideal if you want to stop at the boss to get the, I guess, ending damage of charge, which is the main source of damage of charge on the boss. And it frustrated me at first until I realized the things I could do to ensure that to happen. So that's the biggest tip I'm going to give you for all the capstone dungeons. Make sure you're a pretty fair distance from the boss so you're charging into them, as opposed to running close to them in a dungeon and clicking beyond the mob. That's when things can get confusing depending on how close you are with your mechanics. So this is just going to be a very quick video on charge, letting people know the proper interactions that I found for charge that seems to be doing the best, right? I mean, I'm not 100 right now. I haven't had the most amount of time to play, but I've still done decently well in the time I put into it, and I figured out quite a lot of things. So that's all I figured out for charge for sure. I'm sure there are many interactions to come since charge, again, hasn't been that popular, so I don't think there's a ton of testing as far as the interactions go, and it's definitely a unique skill. There is no getting around that. So as always, that's going to conclude this video. If you're a Barbarian and you love Barbarian things, this is the channel for you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video, throw in a comment if you have any questions. I will respond as quick as I can, and I will see you all in the next upload.